crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
The market is overwhelmingly doomed. It's all over. Altcoins, sell everything, pack up the truck, go move back out to the country and get out of this rat race because the market is melting down, guys. This means it is over. But is it? Remember, September. So many people forgot. September was supposed to be the most bearish month in the crypto ecosystem. And yet, we had a little bit of a rise earlier on in the month, and they said, oh, though, let's throw out that. We don't even remember that. Now that we're just really seeing some normal price action, everything's still looking relatively safe. There are some concerning things that we need to highlight, which we're going to be pointing to here in a few minutes. But we don't need to lose the forest for the trees because we got October right around the corner. In fact, it's less than a week away. And what is that date in October? What do they call it? They call it Uptober. Is it going to happen again? Well, let's talk about what this means. And is Bitcoin going to be the only thing that moves up and altcoins keep breaking people's hearts? Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about what is going on. But before I do that, how's everybody doing? How you feeling? How's your portfolio looking? Is it red? Is it green? Is it purple? Because mine feels like it's a bit black and blue, but I'm not losing my confidence in this market. I'm not losing confidence in my ability to be patient when everybody else is losing their minds. Because the people that are losing their minds right now are the ones that are going to lose the hardest, because you're going to be beating yourself up both emotionally, and your portfolio is just going to just smack you with losses if you're selling at losses right now. And I have a video coming out today at 7 p.m. here on the Discover Crypto channel where I'm breaking down exactly what I'm seeing about where things are going and why. Am I packing my bags? Am I selling it all? Well, you're going to have to find that out in that 7 p.m. video, but I'm going to tell you about what I'm seeing between now going into October and what it might mean for altcoins. So let's talk about it because I'm feeling juicy right now. In fact, I got my boy here. He's in the wings. He may want to pop up on stage in a bit and say some stuff, but the juice, we got the juice in the house, the truth. Hey man, it's red. We've been talking about the redness in the market. Is it busting your chops any? Or are you still sitting confidently patient and just frustrated with this chop?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me happy not to be overexposed to a bunch of small alts. Right now, smaller alts are being decimated. So, in this environment, I don't feel like buying spot too much. It has passed my mind, basically setting some targets where I would add to Chainlink at around $15 should we get there. And that's in the scenario that ETH can hold up this. I mean, it bounced right off of the downward trend line, which I was hoping to see. Generally, when you break out of a downward trend line, in my experience, you have to come back down and prove it as support, which we did just do. So I'm cautiously optimistic right now, but I want to see Bitcoin find that footing and find that strong resurgence, right? Not just a thin 15-minute candle that jackknifes you back up to liquidate everyone that's short. I want to see a good sustained move with volume proven to be able to open my heart up to more tiny altcoins. Really, I'm just interested in Avalanche and Chainlink on the pullback. Not trying to get too over diversified. And always Bitcoin. If I see Bitcoin at 100K or under, that's where I can really start to unleash some tether on Bitcoin too, which honestly kind of excites me, Kelly. So I'm feeling pretty good.
I mean, I feel the same way, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Now that we got you on, I'll actually do it we can do it that way as well. Yeah, I'll share my screen because I got it better on my side here. But looking here at the price action, we've had these three levels marked out for some time. And Bitcoin, this feels like the end of the world for some people because we're getting some red candles. But let's not forget, and we're going to be talking about altcoins quite a bit in this episode, so don't worry. But remember, this is going to be that really driving narrative of the sentiment in the altcoins, especially because we've never had that momentous move in the altcoins yet. We've had these little sort of mini mini altcoin season fake out runs that have not yet really played out as everybody's expecting. And so when you're seeing that and lack of follow through, at the same time, you're seeing sort of uncertain vibe, right? The vibe in the Bitcoin market is not just Bitcoin. Remember, if you're holding crypto and alts, you go, why is it falling? Remember, S&P 500 is also, yes, pushing up, and it has been, but we're also seeing some weakness even on today's chart, potentially rolling over. Not only that, we have a bit of a bearish divergence that formed in the stock market as well. So what I'm pointing to here isn't just that Bitcoin is pulling back a bit. Altcoins are getting crushed quite a bit. We are seeing some altcoins out there that are performing well. Aster just did a monumental run from about $150 million market cap September 17th to over almost $4 billion here in the matter of, what was that, like a week and a half? Insane. So there is liquidity in this market. It's just kind of peppering in different ecosystems. Avalanche also, as Drew just highlighted, Avalanche saw some great news come out with, I think it was South Korea is launching their stablecoin on Avalanche. Some of the partnerships are doing RWA growth that they're seeing. But then everybody wonders, well, then why, when I look at these other altcoins, if I come here through Ethereum, absolute tankage here. We look at Link. Is it melting down? Or, yeah, it feels bad. But remember, feeling is not something that's going to inform your market moves. And then beyond that, we got Aerodrome, to me, giving insane opportunities here, where not so long ago, when the market wasn't even really ready to run, look at this up here at $2.25, and since pulled back. We got another run up, and yet again pulling back. To me, in an instance where the plumbing of the world is getting moved onto blockchain ecosystem, especially with the, something like Aerodrome, which has the sort of go-ahead stamp of approval from that, Coinbase, which invested $100 million on open market in this last year. I believe it was in February or March. And yet people are worried by some of these games. And I do look at these as games in the market with it pulling back. Aerodrome under $1. Yeah, absolutely. To me, this screams we got to be a little bit more patient. Even yesterday, on yesterday's stream, I highlighted Eigenlayer. Eigenlayer, look at this. Beautiful rising level of support, flat level of resistance. It's broken out. It's pulled back. It is testing the scene of the crime, aka previous resistance, now trying to flip it as support. And it's kind of looking like it's tested twice. This is actually looking a little bit stronger than some of the other altcoins. In fact, they also just announced some pretty large partnerships, which is still sort of matriculating into the price action on the chart. But then we look at it over things like Cardano with scribbles all over the chart because people are going, what the heck is going on with my bags? I thought DZ said it was going to the moon. Here's the deal. I think Cardano is going to do fantastic. I think most of, not all, I think most of these altcoins we're looking at that are feeling like they're on the struggle bus. Why is Morpho pulling back? Well, rising channel breakdown. This could have been telegraphed from the chart pattern, from the rising channel breakdown. Also, look at this, still bullish, sitting above the golden pocket here. So my point here is many of these altcoins that we've been talking about being infrastructure layers that have so much promise. Again, the word is promise about what the price action can do in this cycle. And you tune into that 7 p.m. Video today, because I'm going to break this down in a bit more depth. But there's so many signals that people are not paying attention to right now that really signal that the top is in. But it's also in the way you're looking at these signals that actually suggests there might be something that is an overwhelming trap brewing in this market as we speak. And I really do hope, I know Drew hopes that you do not step in the trap of what the emotions that are rendered out of some of these patterns.
Well, that's easier said than done when it's our job to look at it every single day, right? But yeah, it's, I remember that all of the opportunity I've experienced over the last 6 years has been from a decision I made to put my life savings in crypto way before it was normal or acceptable to do by even people that I loved, right? So unsurety for sure, but it's the M2's gone nuts, Kelly. Gold has gone nuts. I think we're going to be okay. But 27, 28 might get weird for the regular markets, and then I can come in with cash and buy up assets. So it's just about positioning ourselves right.
Oh, I mean, I completely agree. And then taking it back, remember coming into September, so many people were talking about September being such a rough month in the market. But not only has it typically been one of the worst months for Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem, it's actually been better than average. So, I mean, even right now, when people are so worried about the dip that we're seeing right now, let's go to the 4-hour chart and realize, even just from this recent top, it's not like something that is like, oh my God. I mean, I've been in these markets, and I get that not everybody has. I've been in these markets since 2015, 2016. So I lived through the 2017 cycle where we saw 11 moves of 15% or larger to the downside on the way up. In fact, 8 of those moves were somewhere between 30 to 45%. Multiple moves like that on the way up. So when I'm seeing a 7% drawdown, when everybody in the market is looking at how exciting the landscape is, so it must go up. No, and I break this down in the 7 p.m. video. There's a couple things out there, open interest being one of them. Everybody keeps YOLOing into every time you get a move up, even when the move is pushing up into a golden pocket, where at this point, I would not be buying here, because right at this point, you have the golden pocket, which is such a regular hit rate of rejection. You wait for a breakthrough, a retest, and then like up in this region after it's cleared that zone. If you have a fickle emotional spirit that if you buy, you're going to sell when it's right here. If you're trading, then this would have been a good short opportunity with a tight stop loss, maybe slightly above this. But the point here is we have the data here. We understood that this September was going to likely be a red month. We had a little bit of price action up. Everybody forgot about it. And yet, even still, we're doing better than people expected. But then you look at what we're seeing. This is what I want to see. This breaks some people's hearts. But as an investor, as a trader, I'm trying not to be part of this liquidations. The $10 billion of open interest has been wiped in 1 week. This is the overly aggressive tourists in the space. Even some of the long-term chads that are here going far too over leveraged in this space, and the market can see that, so it wants to get back to a healthy position. So September's doing better, even though it's feeling choppy, it's feeling like the end of the world. We have all of this open interest that's been wiped, and then you look forward to October, and what do you see? Well, I see green on the way. Why is this? Because October tends to be pretty darn good after the regularly red Septembers. So everybody forgot about that, but we have data on our side right now, in addition to all that other landscape stuff that I jabber about on every stream. That all the context of this market, the winds at our back right now of regulatory. I mean, we have Monday, we have the SEC, what do you call it? Crypto talk, whatever it's called, roundtable. There you go. The SEC crypto roundtable with some of the major banking juggernauts, as well as crypto exchange partners. Just all across the board, what we're seeing is unprecedented. So when we see a day like today where we're getting the end of the world signal because we had a couple 4-hour candles to the downside, we have the targets available. And I have in the 7 p.m. video, I have the lower targets so you're going to have to watch that at 7 p.m. I'm going to talk about this level and a very likely level below this if we lose this. So tune into that. But let's continue on, because we're coming into October. Is it going to be bullish? Well, what does the data suggest? Because even in the last 24 hours, we just had another $1 billion liquidated. If people stopped getting so overexposed in this market, maybe it wouldn't be so frustrating for the market to be so choppy. We want to make sure that we are doing this smart. We want to make sure that we are trading with risk management, taking shots, but also not putting our entire future at risk because we hope it goes up now, or it needs to drop now because my life savings is shorting at 20x. Because we're seeing it in the charts. We're seeing it in the liquidation heat maps. And this is all just a liquidation data. But then we got to talk about the alts, guys, because Benjamin Cowan here is, kind of tooting his own horn, and he deserves it. He talked about how long the Bitcoin dominance was going to persist up and be high. And then the breakdown, yes, we got the breakdown on dominance, and this is directly related to the altcoin prices. But what we're seeing recently, let's kind of come over here. What we're seeing recently on the Bitcoin dominance is a little bit of a rise. Does this mean it's over for altcoins? And what I'm talking about is this rise right here. We had the drop, little bear flag, and it looked like it was kind of going to be a breakdown. And we did break down, and we came right back into it. And now we're actually moving to the upside right now. But what I'd be watching for here is this is pushing up. Benjamin Cowan thinks it might push up as high as 60%, which would be roughly right at the bottom of this range that I've had on here for probably 9 months. And maybe it gets up there. I'm not so sure that it gets all the way up there. What I'd be looking at on here is watching the dominance come up, and it's testing right now where? Previous range low. I'd be watching this area, and if it loses, meaning it breaks beyond this, I'll be watching a little bit higher right into this area right here. This is going to be the zone. This small, let's see, 59.3% all the way up to 59.9%, about a 0.7% region, I think is going to ruin the majority of people trading in the altcoin space. The retail players out there, that's 0.7, 0.7%. That's going to ruin so many people's spirit streams, hopes, and future in the crypto market, because they don't understand that this rise right here doesn't mean that Bitcoin dominance is now just about to completely take back over. We see this fall, retrace, fall, retrace, fall, retrace, fall, retrace. Now, do we get a little bit of a bump here? Sure. But I still am of the opinion that we're going to see some maturity in the altcoin space. Bitcoin needs to be your number one focus when looking at the temperature of this market. And you need to make sure that the majority of your portfolio isn't only in all these risk assets. But if you're more heavily weighted in Bitcoin and you have the risk assets, it's not so frustrating in this market. Just understand that. And then we look at where I have a couple other things. This is what I was talking about. As I said below, this was ETH season, not alt season. And this is kind of rung true so far. We've seen some particular alts run, but the market as a whole is not pushing forward. So is alt season canceled? I think it might be. Now, why is that? Does that mean that Kelly, Discover Crypto, we don't think alts are going to run? That's not what I'm saying. I think the narrative of how people are still assuming alts are going to run like last cycle and the cycle before, where you look at the list of altcoins and you just throw a dart, doesn't matter where you throw it, every one of them is pushing 15, 20, 30% a day. I think that might be a little bit over. I think we have niches within the altcoin ecosystem now that have entrenched different narratives that also interact with the global marketplace. Like AI is going to be directly impacted by NVIDIA. And what's going on in the entire AI development core, right? And then in addition to that, then you have the other aspect. You have tokenized stocks, tokenized treasuries, the regulatory framework of that, not just in the US, but in major economic zones like Europe, like China, like Australia, like Japan. Their regulatory decisions on these are going to have big impact on those, despite what's going on in the generalized alt market. We need to understand the overall sentiment and the narrative of risk across the broader markets. And then with that, understand how our narrative that we're investing in, or the different narratives that we're investing in, how they're fitting into that framework of the risk across global markets, but then also what is the appetite in the particular niches. That is the point here. Alt season dead? Yes, but we're still going to have incredible growth in the alts that have great teams, great communities, real utility, and also partnerships that can back up that utility and get those things integrated, partnered, and delivered. Okay, we have to be careful here because there's a lot of money to be made, but not everything is going to make a lot of money. Do you understand what I mean by that? So let's continue on here because I want to get through some of these other things. The other thing looking at Bitcoin dominance is this chart from Colin Talks Crypto. Yes, we had a breakdown here. And much like Benjamin Cowan talks about that rise back up on the Bitcoin dominance, we may get a rise back up, may go beyond 60, may go back up to 62, 63, 64. But remember, we've been here before. This is what happened in the last cycle. We had the breakdown, which is like a little mini alt season here, and then it died, but then we had the real breakdown. So similarly, if this were to play out the same way, then we might have a few months. Because remember, something else that's really on the horizon with the crypto ecosystem right now is that we never got the run that we feel like we deserved in the crypto market. That's because the majority of people aren't looking at Bitcoin and understanding the growth that it's seen since $15,500. myself included, got a little overly exposed in some of the different altcoins out there. And I have to eat my own fist in some of those cases, right? But thank God I am more heavily weighted in Bitcoin. I just took, I had a little bit of an expectation that we're going to see something more similar than we have to 2017 to 2020 and 2021. Now, maybe those things still play out, but people, you cannot ignore the fear that people have in this market of it ending sooner than later, meaning that we've kind of gotten towards the end of that 4-year cycle. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't, but the narrative, the sentiment within Bitcoin and crypto specifically is going to dance with that issue, in addition to all the other global financial risk on, risk off variables that are affecting this market. So there's some things to sort of decide for here. And one of those things is, how patient can you be? And your altcoin right now, your altcoin you're holding right now, would now be a good time to buy if you didn't have any. If you didn't have any of the asset you have right now, if you had to buy it today or choose to buy it or sell it today, what would you do? I think we, all of us, get married in some way to our bags. We don't want to admit it, but we get far too attached. But I expected this to happen. I'm in a little bit of a loss. I don't want to take that loss. And then ultimately you see this massive drop. Now, am I telling you to sell your altcoins? No, I'm not telling you to say that. I'm telling you to look at your portfolio, to look at the assets there, and also reassess. And this is something you should be doing regularly. Reassess over time how your portfolio fits in with your strategy and also fits in with your expectations, but also how comfortable or uncomfortable are you with your positions? Are you over leveraged? And again, I'm not talking about leverage in the market. I'm saying, is it putting you at risk because you have debt to have that asset? Is it putting you at risk because you needed it to go up and now it's going to make other parts of your life much more difficult? It's a hard lesson to learn, because all of us want to put as much as we can because this market's supposed to make us rich, and then it goes choppy sideways, breaks down, and we're mad. But then that premise always gets brought back. Markets can remain irrational longer than most people can stay solvent. So again, if you're sticking in the assets that you're having, and this is stocks as well, if you're sticking in the assets you're having, are you still confident about them if you had to choose to start that position today? That's a good way to get a little bit of a test of your barometer on how you're feeling about the assets in your portfolio. Now, again, I think we still have quite a leg up in the crypto market. And, but the question is, what would you do if that was the top? What would you do if that was the top and we continue to break down? What is your patience level? Where would you cut? Where would you add? Which assets you think might buck the trend because how much deeper they are tied to, other traditional asset narratives like AI and such. So we got to ask ourselves these questions, because as it stands right now, if you look at it, this is a little bit more zoomed in, and this is also Bitcoin dominance. We do have a breakout, but this is not the breakout that we want. The breakout that we see here is a pressure on altcoins. This is altcoins not moving as healthily as Bitcoin, and more in reality, in this case, as Bitcoin is dropping. If Bitcoin is dropping and dominance is going up, that means your alts are plummeting, because the dominance of Bitcoin as a market cap, its share of the total crypto market cap, Bitcoin's market cap is holding up better than the altcoins are. So paying attention to this, realizing that although we may still get that major alt momentum or capital starting to rotate into alts, and remember, we still have that Genius Act. We still have the stablecoin integrations. We still have Swift making moves, deploying some of their payment rails and finality and all this stuff. I mean, they made a post earlier today. That's going to be essentially, they didn't say the word, but essentially they're integrating crypto or getting deployed on crypto rails, which we've been talking about with XRP. A lot of people say it's XRP, but I also have a very deep understanding of the work that Chainlink and Sergey Nazarov has done also with Swift. So again, none of these things are guaranteed, and you have to understand that. If you have all Chainlink and XRP gets that nod and Chainlink falls, what does that do to you? If you have all XRP and Chainlink gets the nod, what do you do? Is that the only thing that's going to buoy the asset that you're holding? You have to ask yourself these things, because there's so many narratives that get pushed throughout this ecosystem that people are waiting for that thing to happen, and then it happens, and the price falls, or it doesn't happen and the price crashes. So you want to make sure your assets aren't built just on the narrative pump, but also the utility, the adoption, the users engaging and actually interacting with that chain, generating fees. These things are important. And it's becoming more important as this asset class becomes more legitimized with corporate money getting involved. So when we look at Bitcoin and it's breaking down, to me, this still looks quite relatively healthy. And there's some levels below here. Again, watch the 7 p.m. video today because I break it. It's a short video. It's about 15 minutes. So watch it on 2x speed if you want. But it's coming out at 7 p.m. today. And I'm breaking down some things that are very important. So, and I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts after you watch it. Drop a comment down below. And shout out to everybody that's watching on X, watching on YouTube, watching on Pump. Big love to you all. And we all want the capital to rush into this market. We want to see those green God candles, those green Omega but sometimes you got to shake out the tourist degen mofos in this market before it actually resolves healthily. Because when you look at what's going on in the liquidation heat map, let's go over here. Let's go back to like 1 week. We had all the liquidity below us. Remember, so much of this yellow. It came down, and it's changed now because they've all been closed. But it was so much yellow. It came down, clear the longs. People going leverage long, clear it. Clear the leverage long. Clear, clear some shorts. Clearing the leverage longs, just washing out to the downside. And yet, now people are scared, but now look, now we have all the liquidity above us. Does this mean we immediately go up there to tap that liquidity? I don't think so. Because in the case of moving down to clear this liquidity and then getting the cascading, long squeeze where you get the price moves a bit quicker, that also changes the sentiment of the buyers out there. So sometimes, unless you get a slingshot with big whales buying immediately, sometimes it takes a little bit where you get some sideways price action. Don't believe me? Well, let's go back and look real quick. Let's go look. That's not the right chart. Let's go look real quick at Bitcoin right here. What do you see at the bottom of this bear run right here? Oh my God, quick washout, boom. And then look at this. This is a 3-day chart. Let's go to the daily. We'll go back over there. Where is that at? Right here. The daily chart, the washout here. Let's go the day after the washout. That still took, let's see, until we broke back above. That still took 2 months. 2 months of opportunity for those that see it. But again, it all comes down to your risk appetite, what your risk management is, and are you stacking? And this is true for the other assets as well. But the caveat with the altcoins is altcoins are going to look to Ethereum and Ethereum is going to look to Bitcoin. They're all going to look to Bitcoin in some regard, but we have to really pay attention to what's going on here because Ethereum had that, these periods of consolidation as well. Let's kind of get back over to where we're at right here. But what do you notice here? Big washout here. Oh my God, the tariffs, everybody. The tariffs. Why the hell would the tariffs affect Ethereum? This is case in point why these markets are connected. The stock market was very full. This right here, this is that move. The tariffs, oh my God. And so the risk-off mentality in the markets spilled over into Bitcoin. This is it right here. Look, oh my God, the tariffs, boom. And then launch, okay? Similarly, Ethereum, the tariffs, and then boom, had a little bit of a resistance here where we've seen resistance before, shakes people out, launch. And what do we see currently? Okay, the move has been the ETH move. It's been the ETH-dominated move. Aster grew so much more. Great. Look how much the difference in the growth of the market cap. Okay, I'm not talking percentage basis. The billions of dollar difference. Ethereum has dominated this run. Now, is this the ETH run and that's it? I don't think so. I think this is incredibly bullish. The market's aware of it. We're coming back in to test a bit into this neckline, and people are expecting this to bounce, and it doesn't. So now people start to lose hope. Now they start to short. And what happens is you're setting up the powder keg for the move. So that's what I'm looking for. Whether it's here, whether it's even lower, down to 2,800. I talked about this on the Discover Crypto Show, I think 3 weeks ago, a potential move up here, scaring people, washing down into 3,100, potentially even down to 2,800. Let me know if you're there for that stream. Because I talk about these things. I'm very bullish, but I'm also very realistic about the things that are going to shake people to their core. because we don't have the fear in the market that I'm expecting before the price goes up. It's very counterintuitive, right? And then you come over here and you look at the ETH to Bitcoin pair also falling. And where did it go? I've talked about this time and time again. This downtrend that has been 1,120. It's been more than that. It's about 1125 days now. Downtrend on ETH to Bitcoin pair. This is why the alts have felt so weak. And we get a little life. Boom. But is that life? Because look, this move is only a bounce up into the downtrend line from this almost 1,200-day downtrend move. So this really, for the alts to be bullish, this really needs the ETH to Bitcoin pair needs to come out, break through this line, clear this horizontal zone right here. And then we have this area. This will be, I think, very good for alts. And if this is able to break out of this, which I don't know if it is, this is a for the life of Ethereum, essentially, all the way back to 2017. This is if this breaks out, alts are going ballistic. But I don't necessarily think that, I don't know if they will, or if this breaks out and just goes sideways. We have to take this one step at a time, but I'm just giving you the data I'm seeing. BNB also massive move up. Great. Looks good. Cool. But oh my God, it's over. Is it? I mean, this thing just melted from, look at this, from $523 up to $1,080. Or there's a little bit of a pullback here to a level I talked about 2 days ago, and people are worried. Maybe. Yeah, if you're worried, then you have to adjust your strategy or put barriers and boundaries in place. One of those things that I do is, because I know I get emotional too, even though I talk about this, I make sure that I use something like Arculus. I head over to getarculus.com. I use code DC20. You get 20% off. Crypto cold storage makes it a little bit more of a step. Your crypto is secure. You're helping secure your future. Best crypto cold storage solution out there. But it also, for me, gives me one more step. If I am going to trade, I have to actively go and move it out, get it, all the things, the extra steps, rather than just going to a DEX or going to an exchange and trading. If you keep the stuff you don't have a plan on selling right now because you had a plan, but the market's getting a little scary. If it's on the exchange, you're just trading in and out and making stupid moves. If you have your stuff in cold storage, not only are you more protected, but you also are creating yourself a little bit more of a barrier to actively emotionally trade. Dual purpose. Head over to GetArculus. Make sure you set yourself up. Use code DC20, DC20. But then also we got a couple other things. It's S&P 500, total 3. Okay, total 3. Altcoins, everything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum looking a little weak here. I still think we're going to get a run, but this does look like we're getting a little juiced here, but we're going into October. So I'm saying right now, be a little bit more patient with what your exact expectations are, and it needs to do this. Be a little bit more patient when you see a thumbnail from a creator. It's meant to generate some sort of emotion for you to understand what that is. You click through, excuse me. You click through and you get it explained a little bit. It's either way more hyperbolic or way less hyperbolic than you initially think. A lot of times thumbnails and titles are meant to address the thoughts or questions people are having in that narrative, and then you address that in the conversation. But sometimes people just scroll YouTube, and I have a friend that said, and he's not a crypto trader or investor, it's somebody that's outside of all this, but he's like, yeah, when I want to get the vibe, I go into crypto YouTube and I just look at the thumbnails. Oh, it's a bearish day, so I sell. There's so much more to it than that. So understand that this market, you need to do what's best for you. Make the decisions that work for your portfolio. Make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. And some of those are processes, strategy, understanding charts if you're actively trading, or getting a DCA pattern, a DCA process in place. There's so much on the table for what's coming in the next 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years with this market. There's going to be a lot of things that change. There's going to be a lot of overwhelming lottery-like money winners, and there's going to be a lot of duds out there. And the shape of portfolios is going to need to change over time as different narratives fluctuate in and out. And if you can stand that, and if you're diligent, and if you're focusing on these different narratives and the sentiment shifts and reading charts, actively get in there, trade altcoins, do it. I mean, more power to you. But the truth is, the majority of people shouldn't be in any single altcoin. The truth is, most people should only be buying on a regular basis, on a weekly or monthly schedule, Bitcoin, and never looking at the chart. because the majority of people, and it's not just crypto, the majority of people do not have the constitution or wherewithal to actively trade markets. Now, one of the things we want to do here at Discover Crypto with Drew, myself, BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement, TJ, DZ, Tim, all of us, we want to make sure that, I know almost everybody's going to be like, oh, no, I can trade. I got it. So we want to make sure you have the tools at least, and you're looking at the markets in the right way. And you have the understanding that there's a variety of different strategies, not just my strategy or Frankie Candles or Jason Casper or Crypto. Everybody's got a different strategy. And so it's different ingredients that you see what really works for you and practicing them on smaller amounts, using something like Breakout Prop, which we're going to be rolling out for you all, that really helps you get a lot more exposure at a very minimized risk rate. So you can take advantage of markets in a meaningful way without exposing all your capital to risk. But we got so much going on in this market. So much more going on in this market. And yet right now, I think so many people are doom scrolling because there's a little bit of fear in the market. They're looking for something to confirm the fear. I say right now, put your hand on your heart. Tell yourself you love yourself. You're going to learn. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to, find forgiveness for somebody in your life today. Call somebody you haven't called. Speak positively. Be positive. Be matter of fact. Be factual. But let's be positive impacts on each other. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. 7 p.m. video. Tune in for it here on the Discover Crypto channel. That's all we got today. Shout out to our channel partners, Bitcoin IRA, BitcoinIRA.com as well. Great source for anybody out there stacking for long term. Why not minimize some of the tax that you're paying on all those short-term capital gains when you're trading all those altcoins? You trade up to 80 different altcoins here on Bitcoin IRA. Day trade if you want, and you trade those into Bitcoin and long term. It's going to be millions of dollars of impact down the line. Give them a call, 1-877-936-7175. Let them know Kelly Kellum sent you, or Discover Crypto, whatever it is. They will take care of you. But I love you all. I appreciate you. We have so much goodness coming in this market, and in order to get to that goodness, you got to go through the frustrating points. So that's all I got. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.